Yo, what's poppin', YouTube? Yeah. How you all doing today? It's your brother, the MOPOWERZ, where knowledge is power. And I tell you, it is a fantastic Friday. And if you're not having a fantastic Friday, well then, I highly suggest that you start having you a fantastic Friday, because it's a beautiful day. It's snowing, it's wet, no sun, but it's great outside. Good day to be above dirt. Okay. Now, if you all have been keeping up, we are on chapter 6 of 17 of the book entitled The Mis-Education of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Now, that last chapter that I went over, the last live, which is chapter 5, part 5. Wow. If you haven't seen that video, go back over there and view that. But before we get started, there's a lot of other things that's going on in the world, which we'll get to in another video, like those people that did that horrific deed in Memphis, among other things, Young Thug, etc., etc. Yes, I've been keeping up, but I feel that this here, the miseducation of the Negro, has more weight and bears more weight than what you see now, because you can understand now if you read that. I'm just saying. Shouts out to Carter G. Woodson. Chapter 6. The educated Negro leaves the masses. Does that sound familiar? What a title. The educated Negro leaves the masses. One of the most striking evidences of the failure of higher education among Negroes is their estrangement from the masses, the very people upon whom they must eventually count for carrying out a program of progress. Of this, the Negro churches supply the most striking illustration. The large majority of Negro communicants still belong to these churches, but the more education the Negro undergoes, the less comfort they seem to find in these evangelical groups. These churches do not measure up to the standards set by the university preachers of the northern centers of learning. Most Negroes returning as finished products from such institutions then are forever lost to the popular Negro churches. The unchurched of this class do not become members of such congregations, and those who have thus connected themselves remain chiefly for political or personal reasons and tend to become communicates in name only. Sounds familiar? Like when you get on the train or public transportation in Chicago, do you feel the tension? Do you feel the pain, the anger, the separation from one another? Because it has become an individual thing versus a whole. Now, other cultures, operate under the whole system. And shouts out to the master teacher, Amos Wilson, because he really left me with a knowledge of individualism versus the whole. If you haven't checked out the master teacher, Dr. Amos Wilson, go check him out. The Negro Church, however, although not a shadow of what it ought to be, is the great asset of the race. It is a part of the capital that the race must invest to make its future, which is a lie, because the Reverend gives you nothing. The Reverend gives you nothing. In fact, about it, the Reverend takes all of that money that you all donate to him, put it in the bank, and then the bank, give it to people for loans, new developers who are doing what? Gentrifying where you live at. Think about that. The Negro Church has taken the lead in education in the schools of the race. It has supplied a form for the thought of the highly educated Negro. But when you go to church, you be dumb because you become a slave to something that doesn't even exist, nor helps you. But if you are a part of the system in which it is cultured in, then it can help he or she who propagates the religion. But for the masses who lay at the bottom as sheep, have no idea what is going on, magic is taking place right in front of their eyes, being hypnotized with an intoxicant that does what? Keeps you enslaved mentally. This book, The Mis-Education of Negro, has another cover with a lady with a band lock around her head. That should have been the thumbnail. I don't know how many times I said this, at least in every live. So that would be 5 lives. I've always said that. I really wish I could have put that image there, but it was too big for the thumbnail. But once again, I would rather have put up Carter G. Woodson's image anyway, seeing that he's the author of the book, not to mention the fact he ain't lying. Stop me when I'm lying. It could be improved, but those Negroes who can help the institutions have deserted it to exploiters, grafters, and libertines. The highly educated Negro have turned away from the people in the churches, and the gap between the masses and the talented tenth is rapidly widening. Yes, it is most definitely widening because people are waking up. Because people are waking up. I mean, if you tell a highly educated Negro, as Carter G. Woodson would say, he know damn well that ain't no Jesus existing. But the masses of people that he has to go back to and explain that to, who has been indoctrinated with this, is fighting him or her, but they're trying to save them. That is a hard task, and that's why many fail. And soon afterwards, the learned Negro, the educated guy or girl, gets tired because the people that he's trying to save is not trying to help him. But as you grow in thought, in mind, in conversation, in the realm of people that you occupy yourself with, as in the words of KRS-One, as in the words of KRS-One, the smarter you get, it seems like the dumber you get. I'm just saying. What do you think? Because these people that you're trying to help, you'll figure out that the truth that you're going to bring for these people could cost you your life, and they're going to end up treating you just like they did Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm just saying, right? Think about it. If there was a price, if there was a reward, because there is a price, but if there was a good reward, or a great reward for speaking truth, what a world we would live in. But we don't live in that type of world. But think about that. When your eyes get open, sometimes you say less when you know more. And you begin to understand. Some people feel that feeding their family is more important than speaking the truth. So would they be right or would they be wrong when they know that the people that they're going to do this for, like, like I said, don't care in the end. Just another dead nigga who tried to do something for you. While sitting there, he thought of what a power group this could become under the honest leadership of intelligent men and women. Social uplift, business, public welfare, all have their possibilities there if a score or more of our highly educated Negroes would work with these people at the center, looking carefully throughout the audience for such persons. However, he recognized only 2 college graduates, Kelly Miller and himself, but the former had come to receive from the church a donation to the community chest, and the author had come according to the appointment to make an appeal in behalf of Miss Nanny H. Burroughs' school. Neither one had manifest any interest in that particular church. This is the way most of them receive attention from our talent and intent. Some highly educated Negroes said that they have not lost their interest in religion, that they have gone into churches with a more intellectual atmosphere in keeping with their new thoughts and aspirations. And then there is a sort of contagious fever which takes away from the churches of their youth, others of less formal education. Talking with a friend from Alabama the other day, the author found out that after her father had died and she had moved to Washington, she forsook the Baptist church in which she had been a prominent worker and joined a ritualistic church, which is more fashionable. Such a change of faith is all right in a sense, for no sensible person today would dare to make an argument in favor of any particular religion. Religion is but religion if the people live up to the faith they profess. What is here with respect to the popular churches of Negroes, which happen to be chiefly Methodist or Baptist, would hold also if they were mainly Catholic or Episcopal, providing the large majority of Negroes belong to those churches. The point here is that the ritualistic churches into which these Negroes have gone do not touch the masses. They do not touch the masses, and they show no promising future for racial development. Such institutions are controlled by those who offer the Negroes only limited opportunity, and then sometimes on the condition that be segregated in the court of the Gentiles outside the temple of Jehovah. Wow. How an educated Negro can thus leave the church of his people and accept such Jim Crowism has always been a puzzle. Well, religion is Jim Crowism. And Orientalism. That's another story. Okay, go check out the World's 16 Crucified Saviors, which, how many lives did I do on that? I'm just saying. It may be a sort of slave psychology which causes this preference for the leadership of the oppressor. I'm going to say that again. It may be a sort of slave psychology which causes the preference for the leadership of the oppressor. The excuse sometimes given for seeking such religious leadership is that the Negro evangelical churches are foggy, but a thinking man would rather be behind the times and have his self-respect than compromise his manhood by accepting segregation. Smoking gun. Smack, smack, smack. They say that in some of the Negro churches, bishoprics are actually brought, but it is better for the Negro to belong to a church where no one can secure a bishopric by worship than by a member of one which would deny the promotion and account of color. Even churches is a political system. It's a bureaucracy. Crazy, right? But it's 100. I got 3 uncles to prove that, okay? With respect to developing the masses, then the Negro race has lost ground in recent years. In 1880, when the Negroes had begun to make themselves felt in teaching, the attitude of the leaders was different from what it is today. At the time, men went off to schools to prepare themselves for the uplift of a downtrodden people. At that time, men went off to school to prepare themselves for the uplift of a downtrodden people. What type of people do we have going to these institutions today? And what are they coming out like? It is most definitely not for the downtrodden people, because the educated has learned, but he's stuck in a way because the downtrodden people are also going to help to be his demise. Sad, but true. And this is what you have to learn from your great teachers, your great leaders, whether you found them to be radical or not radical, or to fit your frame of programming. You think about that. And they all face the same thing. And when the leader's head got chopped off, then nobody continued the work. And the oppressor knew that. And every time we do something for ourselves, or did do something, I can say did do something. See, that was a time when we did try to do something, and the enemy destroyed what we were doing. Destroyed it. Prime example, Black Wall Street. Another prime example, I can't even give you that because I'm going to do a video on that. So you'll just have to wait on that. But a great and prime example of that would be the Black Wall Street. Yeah, in Oklahoma. And I went there and did a video there. So if you haven't checked that video out as well, go down to this page, on this page, and look up on it the uploads, or you can go over to the Mo Show Chicago, TheMoShow Chicago, here on YouTube, and see that video as well. I put that video on both channels because that video has a true message in it, a vital message. I'm just saying. But moving right along. After they obtain these positions, they pay little attention to the humanity. This attitude of the educated Negro toward the masses results partly from the general trend of all persons toward selfishness, but it works more disastrously among the Negroes than among the whites because the lower classes of the latter have had so much more opportunity. The privileged Caucasians that made themselves privileged by stealing, raping, pillaging, and then twisting the whole program. 100. For some time, the author has been making a special study of the Negroes in the city of Washington to compare their condition of today with that of the past. Now, although the highly educated Negroes of the District of Columbia have multiplied and apparently are in better circumstances than ever, the masses show almost as much backwardness. Man, this book was written back in 1933. I'm just saying. Anybody out there in the chat room? Crazy. The masses show almost as much backwardness as they did in 1880. Sometimes you find as many as 2 or 3 storefront churches in a single block where Negroes indulge in heathen-like practices. Yeah. 16 crucified saviors. They do what? I'm going to read that over. Sometimes you find as many as 2 or 3 storefront churches in a single block where Negroes indulge in heathen-like practices which could hardly be equaled in the jungle. Damn! The Negroes in Africa have not descended to such depths. Although born and brought up in the black belt of the South, the author never saw their such idolatrous tendencies as he has seen under the dome of the Capitol in D.C. Sad. Such conditions show that the undeveloped Negro has been abandoned by those who should help him. I'm going to say that again. Such conditions show that the undeveloped Negro has been abandoned by those who should help him. Are you really your brother's keeper? Each one should teach one. Sad, but not today. 100. The educated white man said an observer recently differs from the educated Negro who so readily forsakes the belated element of his race. When a white man sees persons of his own race tending downward to a level of disgrace, he does not rest until he works out some plan to lift such unfortunates to higher ground. But the Negro forgets the delinquents of his race and goes away to his way to feather his own nest, as he has done in leaving the masses in the popular churches. Need I say any more? I know you hear me out there. I know you are. I know you are. This is sad indeed for the Negro churches, the only institution the race controls. And they don't even control that because their mind is being controlled from an oppressor's point of thinking. And even if those reverends are aware of that, or those preachers are aware of that, they're not instilling that information into the people. That's 100. You can take it or leave it. That's not even up for debate. Look at how many people here are lost that go to church. Look how your communities, look how your neighborhoods are when you have one or two storefront churches on blocks. And we see that throughout the hood. Yet evil runs rampant in the streets right around the church. Where is the power of God in that church to eliminate all of the crime and evilness that is taking place in the midst where that church sits? That should tell you right there what the religion is about. I'm just saying. This is sad indeed, for it's the only institution that Black people control, but they don't control it. Okay? And they get 501c3 status. With the exception of this feeble efforts of a few, with the exception of the feeble efforts of a few, all but starved out institutions, the education of the Negro is controlled by the other element, and save the dramatization of practical education by Booker T. Washington, Negroes have not influenced the system at all in America. In business, the lack of capital, credit, and experience has prevented large undertakings to accumulate the wealth necessary for the ease and comfort that's essential to higher culture. Common sense. But as I said, we've been robbed of our common sense. And if the universal God don't give it back to you, I feel sorry for you, because I feel sorry for us, because those who cannot see are those who are holding us back. As Hitler called them, useless eaters. I'm just saying. In the church, however, the Negro has sufficient freedom to develop this institution in its own way, but he has failed to do so. His religion is merely a loan from the whites who have enslaved and segregated the Negroes, and the organization, though largely an independent Negro institution, is dominated by the thought of the oppressors of the race. I told you this before I even read it. I'm just saying. The educated Negro minister is so trained as to drift away from the masses and the illiterate preachers into those hands. The people who inevitably fall are unable to develop a doctrine and procedure of their own. The dominant thought is to make use of the dogma of the white as means to an end. Whether the system is what it should be or not, it serves the purpose, which is keeping you a SLAVE, all DAY. In Chomilong fashion, in Chomilong like fashion, CHAMELEON like fashion, the Negro has taken up almost everything religious which has come along instead of thinking for himself. Smack, smack, smack. The English split off from the Catholic because Henry VIII had difficulty in getting sanction from the church to sanctify his lust for women, and Negroes went off with this singing God Save the King. Others later said that the thing necessary is baptism by immersion, and the Negroes joined them as Baptists. Another cycle of promoters next said we must have had a new method of doing things, and we shall call ourselves Methodists. And the Negroes then embraced that faith. The Methodists and the Baptists split up further on account of the custom of holding slaves, and the Negroes arrayed themselves on the respective sides of the religious agitators, divided still more on questions beyond human power to understand. Damn. And the Negroes started out in similar fashion to imitate them. For example, this is so. Hey, you know, if you're not getting smacked, you're just a straight zombie. But if you're a real person who understands the plight of people who look like me and you, 1933, and he wasn't even a Muslim. He was just a smart black man who didn't do drugs, who didn't do crack, who didn't do heroin, who didn't do mollies, and made less then, and had less creature comforts, had less money, millions of dollars less. But y'all want to help the man. And I just told you what the white man would do, right? He would find a way to uplift all of those downtrodden people that look like him. He would develop a system to help them. And we, with having over $1 trillion in this economy, can do that for ourselves. We are the richest basketball players, the richest entertainers, athletes, whatever, YouTubers. And we still haven't developed no system. Like I said, I hear all of these conscious YouTubers talking, but not one of them has gotten together. If you making over 60, 70, 80,000, you know why? Because they figured out. You know what they figured out? That we're going to do them the same way that we did King, the same way we did Malcolm, the same way we did all of the rest of them, Garvey, same way we did Mother Francis, the same way we did Dr. John Henry Clark, the same way we did Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, the same way we did, you know, I'm just saying, Dr. Dan Joe Hockeney, you know, yeah, I'm just saying, and so forth, and so forth. All of these people has come for you. Sheikh Auntie Diop. All of these people has come for you. And you do what? You do nothing because you don't know they exist. Or you say the nigga's crazy. I'm just saying. It's crazy. Negroes have gone into practically all sects of established. Negroes have gone into practically all sects established by the whites. And in addition to these, they have established 30 of their own to give the system further complication and subdivision. The situation in these churches is aggravated too by having too many ministers and about 5 times as many supervising officials as a church embracing all Negro communicants would actually need. All of the Negro Methodists in the world, if united, would not need more than 12 bishops. And and these will have time to direct the affairs of both Methodists and Baptists in a united church. There is no need for 3 or 4 bishops, each teaching the same faith and practice while duplicating the work of the other in the same area merely because a long time ago somebody following the ignorant oppressors of the race in these churches committed the sin of dissension and strife. For all of its unnecessary expense, impoverished the Negroes have to pay for that. Who do you think pays the preachers? Who do you think pays the bishops? Who do you think pays for the clergymen? Who do you think pays for the services of religion? You, the poor, the blind, the deaf, the dumb. You're going to pay for a religion that keeps you in poverty, mentally and economically and spiritually. Hey, they hit a trifecta. How many trifectas did they hit? How many zombies do we have out there? I'm just saying. Wow. What do you think? Was Carter G. Woodson right? Is he hitting the nail on the head? Smack, smack, smack. The theology of foreigners, too, is the important factor in the disunion of churches and the burden which they impose on an unenlightened people. Theologians have been the base of bliss and source of woe. While bringing the joy of conquest to their own camp, they have confused the world with disputes which have divided the church and stimulated divisions and subdivisions to the extent that it no longer functions as a Christian agency for the upliftment of all men. To begin with, theology is a pagan origin. To begin, theology is a pagan origin. To begin with, theology is a pagan origin. Sounds like the world's 16 crucified saviors to me. Go check out those live videos that I did. And I did 10 videos that was uploaded with images, the first 10. But after the first 10 videos that was uploaded, everything else was live. So go check out the uploads and the lives of the world's 16 crucified saviors. The Miseducation of the Negro. Wow. To begin with, theology is a pagan origin. Albert Magnus and Thomas Aquinas worked out the first system of it by applying to religious discussion the logic of Aristotle, a pagan philosopher who believed neither in the creation of the world nor the immortality of the soul. At best, it was the degenerate learning based upon the theory that knowledge is gained by the mind working upon itself rather than upon matter or through sense perception. The world was therefore confused with the discussion of absurdities as it is today by those of prominent churchmen. By their particular reasoning, too, theologians have sanctioned most of the ills of the ages. Theologians have sanctioned most of the ills of the ages. They justify the Inquisition, serfdom, and slavery. They justify the Inquisition, the serfdom, and the slavery. Yes, the theologians. Yeah, your pork chop preacher. Theologians of our time defend segregation and the annihilation of one race by the other. They have drifted away from righteousness into an effort to make wrong seem to be right, because we're living in the world, as Louis Farrakhan say, we are living in the world that makes you think down is up and up is down. The world that we're living in would make you think that left is right and right is left. I'm just saying, he got that from Elijah Muhammad. Message to the black man, okay? While we must hold the Negroes responsible for following these ignorant theorists, we should not charge to their account the origination of this nonsense with which they have confused thoughtless people. As said above, the Negro has been so busy doing what he is told to do that he has not stopped long enough to think about the meaning of these things. I got to read that again. As said above, the Negro has been so busy doing what he is told to do that he has not stopped long enough to think about the meaning of these things. He has borrowed the ideas of his traducers instead of delving into things and working out some thought of his own. Some Negro leaders of these religious factions know better. T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, even the great singer, the gospel singer, Yolanda Adams, Shirley Caesar knows it as well. They know this. They know that you are dumb. Some Negro leaders of these religious factions know better, but they hold their following by keeping the people divided and emphasizing non-essentials, the insignificance of which the average man may not appreciate. The highly educated Negroes know better than to follow these unprincipled men who have abandoned these popular churches while serving as the avenue of the oppressor's propaganda. While serving as the avenues of the oppressor's propaganda. While serving the avenue of the oppressor's propaganda, the Negro Church, although doing some good, has prevented the union of diverse elements and has kept the race too weak to overcome foes who have purposely taught Negroes how to quarrel, how to fight about trifles until their enemies can overcome them. The Willie Lynch syndrome. This is the keynote to the control of the so-called inferior races by the self-styled superior. The one thinks and plans while the other, in excited fashion, seizes upon and destroys his brother with whom he should cooperate and help. That's chapter 6. That's chapter 6, you all. The Mis-Education of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Leave your comments in the comment section, seeing that there's nobody out there that wants to say anything. Yeah, because I know you're thinking. You can't say I'm crazy. Thanks for viewing, you all. It's your brother, MOPOWERZ, where knowledge is power. Remember, it is your third eye that makes you shine like jewelry. And if you haven't done so already, press the subscribe button below, view the videos, hit the notification bell so that you can get all of the new videos that I upload on YouTube. And also, go to my other channel, The Mo Show Chicago, if you're into rap, hip-hop, R&B, spoken word, comedy, Chicago street clips. Go over to The Mo Show Chicago, TheMoShow Chicago. Thanks for viewing, you all, and by all means, never, ever give up on your dreams.